Okay, Dillan is an expert in the world of real estate and mortgage financing. He owns Summit Home Loans, which is one of the biggest mortgage and finance brokerages in the state of Utah. Dillan's passion lies in developing relationships in a network of like-minded individuals who can learn from each other. When it comes to commercial and residential development and financing, there's nobody more connected and qualified to help. Dillan is a dad of 3 and a husband to a wife way out of his league. They are what drives him to grow and continue finding ways to build the most valuable network possible. I love it. What got you into real estate at the beginning, Dillan?
Total happenstance. So I'm 33, got home from a mission, went to St. Louis, Missouri. I was like they actually changed the age thing while I was out there. So I was like the last of that generation, right?
19-year-old?
Yep. One of the 19-year-olds. So I went and did a year of school up at Utah State and loved that. Honestly, I kind of wish they still did that, like interim year before kids went out, right? I think it's good for people, but whatever, what do I know? So yeah, I went to Utah State, went on a mission, got home. I kind of had like my plan, right? And I've learned that like the best decisions I ever make are when I have a good plan that I throw away, knowing that like God's probably got a great plan for me. And I kind of did that like right after my mission. I thought I had it figured out. I was going to go back to school. I had a cousin who owned a bunch of dental practices, and I was going to go open a dental practice with him. Like that was my game plan, right? And got home and just decided like I'm going to follow my gut, and I feel like there's just a better plan for me. Fast forward, not that long, I met my wife. We started dating, got married about 1.5 years later. And I had decided not go back up to Utah State, went to LDS Business College, and I loved it there. Honestly, as a college dropout who doesn't have a degree, that is the most valuable place that I could tell someone to go if they want to be an entrepreneur. Because my other classes in other schools and like traditional college, it's an accountant who's never been an accountant and a math guy or business guy who's never owned a business. But at the business college, and this is a free plug for them, but like all my entrepreneurship teachers, my business teachers, my accounting professors, they were just guys who like wanted to give back. So they teach one night a week and they own an accounting firm or they started a business or whatever. And they just wanted to help out. So it was super valuable. But I still thought I was going to go to dental school, still thought that was the plan. My poor in-laws, they let me marry their daughter under the assumption that I was going to go be a doctor, right? And now I'm not even a bachelor degree holder.
Yeah.
But my wife and I were getting married. I had a good friend who was a realtor that was like, dude, don't go rent, go buy a house. So I hit up this guy that had lived in my neighborhood all growing up. I'd mowed his lawn, right? Like we lived on the poor side of a really wealthy neighborhood, which was super valuable for me. But I hit him up because I knew he did something in real estate. He owned a mortgage company, come to find out. So I went and met with him, got pre-approved. And in the same meeting, he's like, hey, I know you're a hard worker and I need help if you want to work here. So I was like, yeah, sure. I was like selling insurance door to door or something at the time. So I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't make much money anyway. But he did tell me, he's like, if you do well, I don't think you're going to go to dental school. And I think you can do well. I was like, okay, whatever, sure. But he said, it will pay for dental school. I just don't think you'll go because you'll do that well. And the first 9 months or so, I remember my wife being like, he was way off base. Like we weren't making very much money. And it's partially
because after you started?
After I started with him, right? And so my wife and I got married. I start working for him. And I am like, as far as real estate people go, like I'm the least quintessential real estate person, I would say. Like my network is extremely valuable, but it's like super, super organic. And that's kind of always been like my approach to everything. And it's what I try and train loan officers to be. It's why our business, I think, has been sustainable through ups and downs because it's just authentic and sincere, but still intentional, right? And I think too many times people, especially in our industry, they're just like, what's the shortest path to get to where I want to be? And I see this person who could provide me something instead of being like, how do I provide that person so much value that they have to give me something in return and they don't even know that that was my intention, right? And I think that was why it took me longer to really kill it. But yeah, that was like my first year. My wife was like, this is not what he promised. My second year was like double what he promised. And then every year after that, it just got better and better. And super good mentor, really awesome guy. And about 3.5, 4 years into that, I had recruited a couple buddies over, and I was 25 at that point, right? So I'm like, you don't know what you don't know. And I think that's a blessing in some ways. I have the fortune of like having grown up in a family where, as far as like the average millennial Utah white kid, Mormon, who went to a good school, right? Like most of those kids I grew up with, their parents cared a ton about what they could tell people their children were doing, right? My parents were the opposite. Like neither of them have a college degree. My mom at that point actually was diagnosed for the second time with stage 4 cancer, like knew she was going to die. So she didn't care, right? Like, what do I care if I can tell my kids or my friends what my kid is doing? She's like, do what you want to do. And my dad's a lifelong entrepreneur who never graduated from college, and just, hard work is what gets you there. That's kind of his thing. So they both were like, drop out. Who cares? Quit your job. Who cares? Start your own thing. Who cares? What do you have to lose? And that to me was like such a huge blessing, because I know other people that have the ability and are smarter than me and want to do things, but I got to get the degree because mom and dad are paying for it, or whoever is going to care, right? I had 1 semester left and kind of saw the writing on the wall that like I wasn't going to get to where I wanted to be working for another person, which is great. It's totally fine, right? It's normal. And the only reason I could find for people telling me not to go do my own thing was, you're not old enough. You have to finish school. But like none of those had any substance to those reasons, right? And in my mind, I was like, my wife's pregnant with the first kid. Why don't we just do this, right? Like I have less to risk now than I would in 10 or 15 or 20 years. So that's what we did. Set it up on the side. I didn't go to my last semester of school. Always thought like, I'll go back based on principle. Now, like we could have a whole nother podcast about this, but I won't ever finish based on principle, because I think a lot of it's a joke depending on what you want to do with your life.
So you had 1 more semester to graduate?
Had 1 more semester. I think I've got like 9 or 11 credit hours or something. I love it. To get a degree, and I won't do it.
I love it.
I think school's one of the worst places to figure out what you want to do and what you don't want to do in life, honestly.
Yeah.
I think if you can like go to college to figure out what you don't want to do, there's some value there, and to build a network. But beyond that, like, yeah, if you want to be an accountant or an engineer or a lawyer, yeah, go to school. But
what do you recommend instead?
I mean, my kids are little, so my wife and I talk about it a ton. I think my prediction is that whole landscape will evolve. And I think my generation and then the generation after are going to kind of break the back of the schooling system, because we aren't going to be, everyone I know has an MBA and they're pissed about it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now it's like a high school degree, and they hate that those of us who took a risk in our 20s instead of going to school for 9 years are the ones that in their minds have done better, right? Their life is great in certain ways, right? I tell them you get paid every other Friday, you've got benefits, you know when you're getting paid and how much. So like you don't want to necessarily trade for what you and I go through, which is like, I don't know when I'm getting paid 100%. Next. But I don't think anyone was told, go do what you want to do and figure out what you're good at. And I use a good example as a friend of mine who I grew up playing sports with him, and I went to Davis High, and right behind Davis High, there's the DATC. It's a Davis Applied Technology College. Kids who went there, we were like, oh, that kid must be dyslexic or an idiot, right? Because he's spending his time there. My buddy Phil, his dad was a plumber, and all through high school, he spent I only saw him at practices, right? Every waking hour of school, he was at the DATC. Graduated, and by the end of that first summer, he's got his journeyman plumber's license, right? The dude's been making $200,000+ a year for 15 years.
Yeah.
And the rest of us were like, what an idiot. He must be a loser, because like that was what they wanted us to think, right? Yeah. He's been killing it forever. He fishes when he wants. He works a few days a week, works for himself, and his life is pretty dang good, right? And if he wanted to, he could grow a big plumbing business. He doesn't want to, but it would have been easier for him to like be this 7-figure business owner a lot faster than those of us that were like, you got to go to college or you're an idiot, right?
Well, I agree with you completely. But I don't know the answer either, as to like, if you don't know what you want to do.
My wife and I have talked about it. I'm like, I will gladly pay for my kid to like go live on campus somewhere.
Yeah.
And if they want to take some classes, great. But
they don't need the whole degree, the paper.
And I'll be like, you need to be trying jobs. And if I had all the money in the world and like had the time to do what I wanted, I would be lobbying at like a state or district level, trying to convince I would start with just the senior year, like reform the senior year of high school. I took AP art history and AP calculus and all these stupid things that I never used, when in my mind, it's like, I think kids should graduate that last year having to take, call it 4 internships or 2 internships. It's like, let's do an aptitude test of what you think you might want to do. I could have gone and shadowed a dentist for 90 days and have found out I don't want to be a dentist.
Exactly. That's what happened to me, actually. I was going to be a dentist until my sophomore year, and we had an essay that we had to fill out, which included interviewing your, not idol, but like who influenced you to become a dentist. And it was a good family friend. I interviewed him and he's like, don't do it.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing is like,
what?
You talk to a bunch of dentists, none of them are passionate about being a dentist.
No. And people hate going to the dentist.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're in this environment that you're kind of stuck in.
People are anxious around you every single day, and like you're just backbreaking work. And the funny thing is, like, I own the building that our company works out of now. 5 of the 8 offices in there are dentists. And we meet once a year, and all of them are like 50 years old.
That's full circle.
They complain about paying off student loans still, and like, it's just so stupid, right?
Yeah.
But that's in my mind, I'm like, that's what I think the senior year should be. And I'm going to encourage my kids, like, get good grades, be smart. But like, I own a business that does a lot of math every single day. I haven't used the math beyond like 9th grade my entire life, right?
It's so
It hasn't served me in any way. Like some of those accounting classes from the business college and things, those have been helpful. But also, if you run a decent business, you better not be doing all your own accounting, right? Like that should be the goal. So yeah, I don't know the exact answer, but I think that's what we'll try and encourage our kids to do. Is just like, go figure out, if you think you want to do things, let's go check it out, right? Like let's test it out. Let's see how you like it. Find good mentors, connect them with people, have a grown-up conversation about these grown-up things, right? And what adulting looks like. And I think it's just a much quicker path to figuring out what you don't want to do as much as what you do want to
100%.
Most of the doctor buddies I've got so far into it that they had no other choice. But, and you know, like to their parents' friend and everyone they talk to, oh yeah, I'm so excited to be a doctor. But to me, their actual friend, they're pretty honest and they're like, this sucks. And I've worked so hard. One of my brother-in-law's brother-in-law, who I grew up with, we were at my sister and my brother-in-law's wedding a few years ago, and he was like finishing his medical licensing. Like he was in the last year or two, right? And he's done well and he's happy, but he looked at it and he's like, dude, I've seen you guys who have worked just as hard as me, but like building something while I've been killing myself at medical school. And I look at it and he's like, I'm smart enough and I've worked enough hours. I could have done the same thing. But now like this is the path I have to go down.
It's almost like shackles.
Yeah.
With debt and energy and
time.
The
difference is it cost them $500,000 along the way.
That's wild.
So I get why it happens. I hope, and I actually feel pretty confident that that'll slowly shift. Because my generation, like I said, they're all pissed and they've all got a master's degree, but it hasn't done them any good. If they're making good money, they're selling something. They work at a tech company and they have to perform and they don't even like their job.
Yeah. I mean, at this business mastery thing that I just went at Tony Robbins last week, they bring in a lot of speakers for current events and whatever's happening, right? And they talked about how even Ivy Leagues, like you come out with like a traditional piece of paper, even in an Ivy League, it's not the same. Like you're not just going out and getting a 6-figure job. And a 6-figure job isn't a 6-figure job 10 years ago, right? Like a 6-figure job, which is wild.
That was the conversation I had with my wife so our daughter had just been born, my first kid. And I was sitting there getting ready to sign up for my last semester of school. But I've been doing mortgages for 3.5 years at that point, and my income had gone up substantially every year. Like we were doing really well for 25 years old. We were making a few $100,000 a year, and it had gone up by about $100,000 every year. And I broke down to her because I was working a ton, right? Like I was doing a lot of work for this guy, and and building his business, building my own business too. But I was there from before the sun came up, sprinting from there to night school, and then getting home, and my daughter's already asleep, right? So she's like 2 months old, and I hardly see her. And I broke down to my wife, and I was like, I hate this. I despise school. I sit there and listen to these professors talking about things that like I do every day for work, and they're not even accurate with what they're teaching people. Like, this seems so worthless. And that was what she asked me. She's like, well, why? Why did we start doing this? I was like, I was hoping to make 75 grand a year, maybe 100 grand a year when I graduate. And she's like, well, then who cares? Like, we blew past that. So, and you don't want to pursue anything beyond that. You know what you want to do. And I still feel dumb looking back at that and being like, I needed her permission and permission from people in my life to feel okay about that. And it's because we grew up in that environment of like, if you don't do this, then you're dumb, right? Yeah. No offense to teachers and guidance counselors and all that stuff, but I've done mortgages for hundreds of them. They are not the people you should be taking like financial, high-level wealth building and success pursuing advice from. Hopefully they love their job because they're not making enough money to make it worth it if they hate it, right? So that, I think, is part of the broken system is they're using the metrics they have, which is like, yeah, I went and spent a year before my mission doing engineering because a guidance counselor was like, oh, you're good at math. You want to be an engineer? I said, sure. Which one makes the most? Electrical engineer makes like $83,000 a year. That was what I did with the whole year of school. And I hated it.
That's insane.
Right? Like that's such a waste. But the outside experiences beyond that, people I met and living on my own, like that was the value. But I just think there's better ways to accomplish the intangible parts of what going to school does for you. And I could be totally wrong, right? I'm obviously biased because that's the route I took and I want to be right. But
yeah, I mean, I got my degree and I still feel the same way. I was there to check a box. I was there to appease my parents and play the game per se. But one more thing to mention just on that trail of schooling and going to this business mastery, something that you should look into if you haven't heard of it. It's called Alpha Schools. Free plug for them. I had never heard of it, but essentially it's like a 2-hour work or a 2-hour instruction a day concept, and it's all AI backed. So they're using a program because they're talking about how messed up the school system is, and I've like known it needs disruption, and this seems like the closest thing to it. But pretty much like if someone got behind in 3rd grade, they're not going to catch up. Like they're going to be behind forever.
And they're going to be labeled as dumb.
Exactly.
And then they're going to spend 10 years thinking I'm dumb.
Yeah, exactly. And if they learn differently, not if they just got behind, they missed a week or blah, blah, blah. Like if they learn differently, they're going to constantly feel like they're dumb, right?
Yeah.
And this AI system fills in their gaps. It's how she described it is like at the end of a degree, a high school diploma, it's like a block of Swiss cheese. Like there's holes everywhere. And
well, because it's all gone to the like lowest common denominator, right?
Exactly. And so this one allows you to, AI can help you fill in those gaps of like, oh, in 2nd grade, he missed this block, so let's catch him up. Yeah. And that could take an hour of time versus.
But then the other thing is on the other end of the spectrum, the kid who does learn quickly is labeled as ADD and he's a problem because he's a distraction. Yeah. And I'm like, well, it's because he already knows how to read and he knows the problem you're putting on the board. And
that was me. And I was
you're
ADD.
The teacher that has to help the kid who doesn't get it. But yeah, like we have this awesome family in our neighborhood and all their kids are homeschooled, but they're like the least homeschooled kids you've ever met. And they're incredible. And I talk with them because they've helped watch our kids and stuff. And they spend 90 to 120 minutes a day getting further ahead academically than all the kids in our neighborhood who are going to the high school and going to the junior high. And then they go do other things. Like they intern with their dad and they spend time outside and they ride bikes and they go in the mountains and they explore, right? Like there's so much freaking value to that.
Oh my gosh.
Then all of a sudden you tell kids, I have friends too they had a 4.0, they got really good at school and they've graduated, went and got a job, realized, well, I'm a better student than I am employee or worker. And now they're like in a PhD because they keep doing that same thing. The only place that I thrive and get told how awesome I am is when I'm at school.
Hits
so I'm just going to keep going back, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm good at. But they didn't learn how to work. They didn't learn how to like be assertive or take action or
sales.
Yeah, they didn't learn how to sell things, or the sad thing is they didn't learn what they like to do along the way, other than I'm good at school and I'm good at passing tests, and if life was a Scantron, I'd kill it.
Yeah.
But it's not, right?
See, and that's at this school, after the 2 hours, it's still like an immersive experience. So they don't just do nothing after, but they're doing, like, they're playing chess, they're building businesses. Like, they highlighted the different businesses that these students were doing. Like a 12-year-old build like a waffle food truck, and he's running like the accounting. He's doing like the profit and loss because he wanted to do that. It's not like he's being told that. Now, I get the argument, like this is like an elitist because it's expensive and
Sure.
blah, blah, blah. And of course he's running a food truck because his dad gave him 50 grand or whatever. But I mean, if you have the resources and you want your kid to get ahead, like I think it's a phenomenal aspect. There's a kid that like went out and fundraised $3 million to build the largest bike, like mountain bike park. And he did this as like a 16-year-old in high school. And
he was passionate about it.
Yeah,
right?
He loves it.
But like it's that wild. Kid, I don't care what he ends up doing. He's going to do well.
Yeah.
He knows how to talk to people, look them in the eye, ask them a hard question. He's not scared of it. Did his research, figured out what it's going to cost, right? Like those are invaluable experiences, right? Like there's no way to replace that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like my wife and I talk about that all the time, where my kids are 7, 5, and almost 2, right? Mm-hmm. Where I have no idea what I'm talking about yet, but I have already told my wife, I'm like, I plan to try and help my kids realize that school and being a kid can be more like real life than the way we grew up. And like for me, the example is I have my 7-year-old, kind of a procrastinator, really smart, gets in trouble a little bit because she's just social, but she always gets things done just at the last minute. My 5-year-old is more like me, where like he wants to get things done ahead of time. He sleeps on top of his sheets because he doesn't want to have to make his bed in the morning because that's a waste of time, right? Like that's how his mind works. And I've told my wife, I'm like, once they're big enough, I'm going to set the standard where it's like, hey, if we have a powder day, like I want to go snowboard. I want to go snowboard with you guys. If you're ahead, if you're caught up, if everything's done, you tell me whatever day, like we will go do it. But if you're not caught up and if it just dumped snow all night, I'm going to check and see if you're behind on anything, you don't get to come. And I look forward to the day I guarantee my daughter won't be able to come and her little brother will. And that will be better than any lesson that either of them have learned that whole semester in school.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, that's what it's like being a grown-up. That's why dad owns his own business. I lose my hair and I stress out about it and I don't sleep that great, but it's because I want to spend time with you. I want to go to work and do 2 or 3 hours of just grinding through stuff without this mentality of like 9 to 5, I'm here, so I'm going to kill time and spread out 2 hours worth of work throughout 8 hours. Like that's what I want them to understand.
Do you feel like the more success you've had, the more hours you're putting in?
No.
See, and I'd love for you to expound on that, of maybe how, because I think there's this hustle culture, like there's the Andy Elliott's, Andrew Tate, just like throwing it in people's faces.
A bunch of tools, honestly. Like
yeah.
I hate, even like the less obnoxious parts of that culture, I honestly hate it.
Yeah. I feel so misaligned with it too, but sometimes it feels like if you want to succeed, you got to work 12 hours a day. You got to sacrifice your like time with your family. So how has Dillan learned to build a very, very successful business in, we'll say 7 figures of your income that you are living in complete abundance without sacrificing time and always thinking that you got to work till 9 p.m.?
Like for me, and I get it's different for everyone. I think the biggest takeaway from like the examples you just gave and the dozens of others that people are going to think of is none of those guys define success the way that I do. Right? Like to me, financially, like there's tons of people I respect and I want to be around and I want to learn things from. But the older I've gotten, like, again, I'm 33, but I feel kind of old compared to so many of those people that are just in that hustle culture, just as deep as they can get. And like, I have a good friend who owns a construction company. We golf together, try to every Wednesday. And we always make fun of the people that are like lining up to get screamed at by some meathead about how they need to work harder in order to be successful. But to me, I'm like, we're all 30 something years old. Most of us are married and have kids. I'm like, if you can't wake up in the morning and be motivated to provide for them, both financially, emotionally, spiritually, as an example, if that's not enough motivation for you, why is paying some fat idiot who's on a bunch of trend, $5,000, gonna like change that for you, right? Like, I don't understand that. And I think that's where people in that scenario who are just like, well, I keep paying all these morons to scream at me and I'm still not killing it. I must need to pay them more money. I'm like, no, you need to define what success is for you. And are you selfish? Are you a man? Who are you putting before you? Like, is this about you? To me, like, that's the definition of it. So like, that was half the reason I quit a really good job at 25. The guy that I worked for, we become friends again, but it took about 7 years. He was so mad at me, right? Because he found out that, like most people, I'm this idiot who's going to leave this amazing opportunity to go try and do it on my own. And sure, there's a financial component to it that I was like, well, I think it's going to be worth more if I own it and I can be in control of all that. And I'm like someone who wants the ball in my hands, right?
The branding. Yeah.
There's so many financial aspects that are good. But to me, like, the funny thing is, so I had two partners when I started that, and a few years in, we parted ways. I bought them out and they went and did something else. But it was because we quickly learned, like, they are part of that hustle culture, right? We are not a normal mortgage company. You go to most mortgage companies, it's just kind of like this boys club. There's a lot of day drinkers in the real estate industry who want to hang out at the office, and it's all this like hustle culture. How many hours do you work? How much time do you sacrifice with your family? Ours is not that way. And that was why I parted ways with these partners, because they were really into that. But also they like to show up at 10 o'clock after going to the gym and then get home at 7, 8, 9 o'clock because they don't want to help their wife with their kids. And to me, like, I am the exact opposite, and it's not right or wrong, but for me, it's right. And when we started Summit, for me, like, the filter of where I'm at as far as staying true to my goals quickly became, from day one, I was like, I want to cook dinner with my family every night. If I'm doing that most days of the week, because one, my wife doesn't like it, I like it. My son likes to cook with me. My daughter likes to cook with me. But like, that's the gauge for, am I saying yes to things I shouldn't be saying yes to too often, right? And 7.5 years later, like, that is still a really good gauge that has kind of helped me not lose sight of what matters the most. That combined with, I see too many small to mid-sized business owners who have a chokehold on their business, and they refuse. They'll talk about how they want to delegate and they want to give up stuff and they want people to do things, but they really don't, right? They want to yell at that person the moment they screw up. So I think that's almost the harder part, is you have to commit to letting people mess up, setting expectations with them. And then the first time they screw up, and the second and third and 20th time they screw up, still not screaming at them, right? So for me, like, that has helped my business more than anything, is like trusting people, rewarding people, being honest and transparent with people, so that they're never going to be as invested in your business as you are, but have, like, try and find a way to create like a personal investment for them into the business and be motivated to do well and be the kind of person that they want to see killing it. It's hard, right? Like, to have employees that are happy to see you killing it, it's hard to do.
So what, like, at your point in your business, you still want to grow, right?
Yeah.
So what motivates you? Like, you have time with your family, you have like excess capital, we'll say. What motivates you to grow? And I'll preface this with my scenario. I was comfortable but not making good money by my definition today. And I hit rock bottom, like, before I moved to Utah, like, separated from my wife. She moved out here. That's why I moved out here. So in every concept, I was like rock bottom, 40 grand in credit card debt, trying to figure out wholesaling real estate from like a full-time operation. Fell flat on my face. I could go on and on, just like my mental health, what I was doing to take care of my body, just rock bottom. And like the turning point was like, I need to change. Like my why was so strong because if I wanted to save my marriage, if I wanted to come out of this, if I wanted to take care of myself, I had to change everything about my life. Like everything almost. Like when I wake up, how I talk to myself, like what I'm doing. And that hunger brought me to where I am today. And now where I am, like I feel like I can do what I want. I can travel. I can golf as much as I want. I can do a lot of these things that I feel like I'm living like my dream life by a lot of ways. And I like, my wife and I are doing great. We have a little 10-month-old baby. Like I'd say life now is almost deemed as close to perfect from where I was at my rock bottom, but it's still not enough now. Of course, like I want to grow. I want to get to the next sector. And what I've been realizing is my why is not strong enough, hasn't been, to get to that next. Like my goal is to be a take home of 7 figures. Like that's whatever it is. And obviously I don't have a strong enough why behind that. It's just like a random goal I set. But like, what's your advice there? Like what pushes you to still grow, and what's your why to want to grow if you're already...
I mean, first off, like congrats, right? Because there's so many people that have a story that didn't turn around, right? Especially at that age where it's easy to be like, well, I don't have kids and my wife doesn't get it and it must be her fault. So whatever, right? Like I know a lot of people that did that. So good for you.
Thanks, dude.
To do that. And I would say like your why is super strong if you had the motivation and like self-discipline and willingness to look inward and realize like, I need to do something to change this, right? And like, I don't have it figured out. I am not perfect at it. I feel like a failure every day in it. And I still haven't like checked the box, right? For me and my family to be set in the way that I want us to be someday. But I think we also have to sometimes like give ourselves a little bit of credit. Like you're 29, I'm 33, right? Like I wouldn't say the reason you're not there is because your why isn't good enough. It's like, well, partially because we're 29 and 33, right? For me, like the big common denominator blessing has been like, I've had some really, really good mentors who, maybe it's why I don't like these people who want you to pay for them to like tell you how to be successful, right? Because I feel like really good people, if you see them, you recognize them, you I don't want to say idolize them, but like you respect where they've gotten to. Mm-hmm. Most of those people are not going to turn you down if you sincerely are like, dude, I want to learn from you. I want to spend time around you. Can I buy you lunch? Can we hang out? And I want to pick your brain and be honest. So I've had really good mentors in that way. I do think taking advantage of it as we're younger is also big, right? Because they want to help the guy who's 20 something that's wanting to become like them. And I guess maybe the best answer is like some of the advice I've gotten from people like that who gave me that advice, and it has kind of become part of like my core beliefs. One of them is a good friend. I've known him forever. I call him like a second dad, right? He's a 9-figure guy, has been for a long time, does really, really well. And he was one of the people I talked to before quitting my job to start my business. And he asked me, he's like, how much money are you going to make this year? And I told him, and it was close to $500,000. He's like, okay, cool. We live the same life now. And I'm like, dude, you live in a mansion, you have a ranch, you've got homes, you've got 30 exotic cars. Like we do not live the same life. And he, to his credit, he doesn't care about any of that stuff, truly doesn't. He drives a smart car to work because he just thinks it's fun, right? And it's like the shock factor is fun for him. But his point was, he's like, no, we eat at the same restaurants. We go on the same vacations. All the other stuff's just fluff. Like he said, you've checked the box to live that life with your family, be comfortable, to not stress about things, say yes to most stuff, be responsible. He's like, the difference is, yeah, I can invest and grow wealth faster, but like we live the same life now. Mm. So do you want to quit your job and start a business for reasons beyond just making more money? And the answer sincerely was like, yes, because I don't like working 60 hours a week in a chair for someone else. I'm willing to do that if it's for me for a while, but I also don't want to do that forever. I'm going to do it because like once you've checked a financial box, which is lower than most people want to admit, then what are you doing it for? And for me, it's like if my efforts and money can buy time with people I care about, then it's worth it. I am for the rest of my life going to be just like intrigued by people who work their butt off and then they don't do anything with it in my mind, right? Like they're not enjoying it. They're not using it to spend time with people that they love and care about. And I think there's a generation of like recent retirees who fall into that category. I'm like, you came out the other side, you checked every box, you worked your butt off, and you don't have a single thing that you care about. Like you don't have a hobby or a passion. You and your wife aren't even that close anymore because you just put your head down for 30 years and your hobby became penny pinching.
Yeah.
And now like you can't even enjoy it. So it was for nothing. I see so many of those people like that. And then I think more so in the category of what we're talking about is people who take it too far. And like you said, if your goal is, well, I want to have 7 figures take home, right? What does that look like? And that's awesome. That's I'd say the short-term goal, but then set the more long-term goal and stick to it. That's another good piece of advice I got from a guy who's like a wealth manager and mentor to me. He's someone that I totally respect, right? Because he kills it, does really well, but you wouldn't really know it for the most part. And it didn't make sense when I was younger when he was saying, he's like, you'll see guys who set a goal and they just keep moving the bar because they'll get to the goal and be like, well, now I need more because so-and-so's got a plane or their plane is bigger than mine.
Yeah.
Or whatever, right? Their house is bigger, or they have this, they have that. And I'm like, but are you getting on this stupid plane on a Tuesday to go golf with some buddies and miss your 15-year-old's baseball game? Like now I don't respect you, right? Mm-hmm. Like those are the guys that I used to think like, how cool, man, they get to go do that. And now being more in those circles, to me, that's the filters. Like I think once you're in certain circles, you know that financially everyone is there.
Yeah.
So I don't care how much money they've got. If you've got $10 million or $10 billion, like there's really not that much of a difference. Then I want to know like, what kind of dad are you? What kind of husband are you? What kind of friend are you? And that same mentor, he gave me 2 things that have become like my banner, right? And it's spend your time every day saying like, is this something that helps me be a better husband, father, and friend? Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's what I spend my time on. Unless it's things like I have to do. And people work for me, they depend on me. So I'm like, if I'm doing things that I don't want to be doing sitting in an office, I'm doing it as a good friend to them. Like that's how I justify it. But really, I just want to be husband, father, and friend. And the other thing he said is he's like, let your kids see you every day. Love their mom, love God, and work, right? Like help them understand what it is you're doing for work, but they need to see you go work. Because that was my other fear is like my kids are young enough that what if we get to the goal too fast and then I want to live my life and they turn out to be 20-year-old losers because they never really remember seeing dad work. Even though I'm like, hey, the first 15 years that I was married, we were grinding, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a big factor is like just going back to these people that I'll slam them forever, but like to each their own, right? You want to be Andy Elliott? Awesome. Be the best Andy Elliott there ever was. Don't ask me to hang out. Right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to do it, like be that guy. I just don't respect him.
Yeah.
And it's because we're so misaligned, right? Like his definition of success is different than mine. His way of filtering husband, father, friend are not the same metrics that I measure those things. And that's fine. But like surround yourself with people that don't just check a financial box of, well, I want to be as rich as you. So naturally I should want to spend time with you. And I used to think that way, especially like early in my business, because the number one thing you think is like, how do I generate revenue? I've got to bring business in the door. And I'm a huge believer in like this abundance mentality of just doing the next right thing will just work out. Like I own a mortgage company. It's been the worst time to own a mortgage company in the last 30 years over the last 3 years, right? And I've seen so many people fail along the way that had to close up their shop or go join up with a retail division or get bought out by someone for pennies, right? And we've been blessed and fine. And luckily, like those COVID years were so good and we were lucky early on in the business and smart with it. and did other business ventures that have been successful. So like, I'm just a huge believer in that. Like, if you do the next right thing, if you don't just think about yourself, and if you sincerely are like, hey, I want to be the best, whatever it is, right? And I'm not saying my way is right. It's right for me.
Yeah.
But I just think if you're doing it for you and if it's something you care about, and if that doesn't align with the way I do it, that's totally fine. But just make sure that it's not for anyone else.
Yeah. And that's like, it's funny that you bring that up. The whole reason I built this podcast is because I no longer look at money the same. Like, the whole concept of my podcast is people that have found financial success as an entrepreneur, but kept family a priority. And I never thought about that. Like, I would say, just like you at the beginning, before I had a kid, it was like, I really, like, my wife, and I just had to worry about myself, right? Like, if I could take care of myself and my wife was taken care of, like, there's nothing else to stress about. So I'd just go make money. And the infatuation with a billionaire, the infatuation with 100 million net worth was like consumed me. And now if I look at, they've been like married 6 times and have kids with 4 different women, like,
or if their kids like don't have much of a relationship with them other than like, oh, you're so-and-so's kid, you're a rich kid, right? Like, then your kid has that identity and they think that's their worth and value too, right? Like, I have no respect for that anymore. Yeah. I respect more the people who could keep going. Like, that's who I want to be someday, is the guy who's like, I plowed through to my goal. And I tell, like, even business partners I've got and friends and people who have a higher goal than me, I tell them, I'm like, dude, the day you see me with my flip phone, you'll know I hit it. I'm done. And I'm done doing deals with you, and I'm done sacrificing time, right? Because it's not like I sacrifice a lot of time, right? And I'm up late and I'm up early and doing the things that I need to, but it's because I want to work around the time with the people I care about. But I love and have gone from this infatuation with like successful entrepreneurs across the board to like successful entrepreneurs who kept a level head and said no eventually, right? Like, that's the greatest skill that someone can get once they're making 7 figures and killing, is like, how good are you at saying no? Because my wife and I, we had to learn that too, right? Like, you get opportunities to do things and have experiences or go for the next big thing. And early on, you think like, every one of these is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I have to say yes to this. Someone invited me on their plane to go golfing. I have to say yes, right? And then it happens 2, 3, 4, 10 times. And you're like, okay, well, maybe I need to start saying no, because I know people that are like, they'll travel the world with someone they don't like because they got invited, and they're afraid if they say no, they're never going to get invited again. That's so stupid. And their kids are at home having baseball games and cheerleading competitions, and they're missing it and they're sad about it. Yeah. But well, I had to say yes because what if I miss it? It's a once in a lifetime thing, and they're not going to invite me anymore. Yeah. Like, to me, there's your answer. You don't want to spend time with this person. So you're wasting their time and their assets. You're wasting your own time and your own assets, and your kids are missing you. Like, that's so stupid.
Yeah. I honestly need that reminder, because I feel like I'm a people pleaser by nature. And so
we're in a people pleasing business, which is hard to balance that of like, I'll please people to do business for the most part, right? But you got to draw the line somewhere.
Because it never ends.
Yeah.
It really never ends. This is also a good reminder, just coming from a conference where it's like build, and then coming back down to earth. So I appreciate it. But I want to rewind a little bit, Dylan, back to like when you decided to go all in on your own business. Like, did you have the trust of your wife at that point because you were already like making good money and you already had success and you had proven that? Like, what was that discussion like with your wife?
She, to her credit, is like incredible. I mean, like I said, it's not just saying, like, she's out of my league in every way. And she's amazing, right? Like, so she encouraged me to do that. She's always been encouraging, and she knows that like she can have confidence in my ability now to keep that certain standard, right? of life for us and spending time together. And like, she legitimately is my best friend, and we like spending time together. And I'll be around other successful people. I can't remember who it was, but a few months ago, my wife and I laughed about this, where I think I was golfing with someone, and it's someone in that kind of falls halfway into this category like we're talking about, where I don't necessarily respect them, and this conversation kind of confirmed it. But my wife called me because she had just gotten done with like her pickleball league on a Tuesday or something, and she wanted to tell me this funny story about a ornery old lady from the league, right? So we spent 15 minutes on the phone talking about this, and then I get off the phone, and this guy's like, "What's wrong? Like, what was your wife calling about?" I was like, "What do you mean? What's wrong?" "Well, why would your wife be calling you? Why'd you spent 15 minutes on the phone with her?" I was like, "Because she's my homie. She's my best bud, right? Like, she wanted to tell me this funny thing that happened, and she called me on her way home from pickleball." He's like, it blew his mind, right? And he's married and has kids too, but he's like, that's weird. I'm like, it's weird that's weird, right? Like, yeah. I want to hear from her. And that was fun. And I like that I'm the first person she wanted to call and tell this story to. So, I mean, that doesn't really answer your question, but like, that's who my wife and I have always been. And like, she fully trusts me to just make sure that we are going to be taken care of. So yeah, 100%. She was all in on doing that. Plus I told her, like, the goal is so that I don't have to be getting home at 6-7 o'clock at night forever. Right. So she loved that goal as well. And yeah, so we took the leap together. It was scary, right? My goal originally was like, hey, if we can start a mortgage business and have a few of us that work there and do 10 loans a month, it'll be awesome. And then we quickly kind of outgrew some of our goals, which was great. And then COVID hit about 2 years in. So we had a 3-year window of just unbelievable fortune and luck and success. And we worked our butts off. But even through that, it was like I stuck to everyone gets home before the sun goes down. Like we tried to do all that stuff. And yeah, I probably could have made a little more money along the way if I slept at the office like some people did, but it's just not worth it. And yeah, so she was always in on it. She is forever. And one of my favorite things though was I remember a few years into it, and my work schedule is like, I'll wake up, work a little bit, try and have some semblance of a routine in the morning, go to work, try and be home by the time kids are getting home from school. And then I'll usually do some work from bed, like after they're in bed themselves, right? And it was later than normal, like in December, January, and my wife's like, "What are you doing?" It was after midnight. I was like, "Oh, I'm getting all our stuff to our accountant." And she's like, "Well, how much money did we make this year?" And so I told her, and it was a few years into us having started the business, right? And she like sat up. She's like, "Wait, what?" Because at that point, she was driving the same cars before we started the business. We were living in the same house as before we started the business, and we were doing all the same things as before. And she's like, "Well, our life hasn't changed." And I'm like, that's the thing. I love hearing you say that, because we had made enough that like financially we were okay, right? Like we could do what we wanted. We were comfortable. Now, during that year, I was able to tell her, and it's not that my wife and I don't talk about financial stuff. She just sincerely doesn't really care. She fully trusts me. And I showed her, I was like, "Yeah, but guess how many homes we bought this year? And guess how many investments we made? And guess what else we did this year?" And she's like, "Okay, that's cool." Right. Like it was like this end of year financial conversation, because she just really doesn't care about that stuff. And I don't want to stress her out about it because it stresses her out. But I think that was a confirmation for me that, like, one, the thing that my good friend and mentor had told me of like, "Hey, we live the same life now." It was true if you commit to that. But also you got to really commit to that. Right. And not say, "Well, now I make a little more, so I got to have a bigger house, and I got to have a nicer car, and I got to have 6 cars, and it doesn't matter." Right. Like, at what point are you doing it for you, and what point are you doing it because now, like, my wife and I love to travel. And if I'm going to spend money on that, like 23-year-old me, I say this all the time, would kick 33-year-old me in the nuts for how much money I'll spend to go on a vacation and stuff. But I look at it now, I'm like, I will gladly blow money on an awesome vacation with my wife and my kids, or do something like that way before I'll buy myself a toy. Yeah. Right. Like 100%. Who cares? Yeah. So I think that perspective can change over time, but yeah, we started the business. We're super fortunate on timing, and we're able to grow it in a way that So we're a residential mortgage company originally. That's still what we do. That piece of it takes really good care of itself to an extent. And we've grown more into like a commercial. Well, I guess a lot of my focus is like commercial development, commercial funding for people and building those kind of relationships, because we can offer cool solutions there for people. And then myself, like doing more commercial real estate development, and we've got some partners that's what we do now. And raising capital for that is like my key role, because I've learned that network of just naturally building that network to build my business has turned into a good network of people who trust you and want to participate in the things you're doing. And I think that's a testament to, like, Andy Elliott can't get people to give him more than a little bit on a credit card every month, right? It's because people don't, deep down, they don't respect him. They don't want to be him. Yeah. People think they want to be him, but they don't. They don't want to be him. So I think if you can become someone that people look at and they're like, hey, I think I can learn something from you. I respect what you've done with your efforts. How do I participate in that? Like, that's kind of what my network has evolved into and continues to be the goal of the network of people that we bring into our business. But yeah, I think also you're going to have some bad partnerships and bad deals along the way, which I've had plenty of. We could spend an hour talking about that too, right? Like, yeah, it's just tough, and it takes learning along the way. You're going to mitigate some of those mistakes by, I think, surrounding yourself strategically with the right mentors, but you will make mistakes. You'll look back and like, I had to get out of a bad partnership this year with some people, right? Because one of the partners when we started the business was a normal guy whose goals aligned with mine, and then they quickly did not align with that over the last few years. So we had to get out of it, right? But that's okay. Like, I don't regret it. I don't really regret any partnerships, even if they've gone bad, or even like networking with people. Sometimes you'll have a horrible meeting with someone and someone's like, you got to meet this guy and go to lunch with him. And I want to call them after and be like, I can't believe you just did that to me. But I don't regret it, because you're going to have some duds in order to have some golden opportunities and relationships and conversations and just nuggets that come out of it.
I love it. Well, talk to me about the shift in the market and maybe like your mindset towards that and how you adjusted, because that was probably your first market shift from.
Yeah, I'd say like we are, because I've been doing this 11 years and I feel like I can officially say like I've seen a full cycle, you know, because when I started, rates were pretty average and the market was relatively normal.
What was average then, like 5-ish?
Yeah, I think high 4s, around 5%. And yeah, things were good. Things were fine. You saw appreciation and stuff going the way that it has been. And then we left, started Summit, and I'd say like 18 months later, right around then is when COVID hit.
Really? So you rode that wave with Summit?
Yeah, we rode that wave and it was great, right? It was awesome. But I did see a lot of people in our industry who just started to live a life that was expecting that to like be the new norm, right? And those are the guys that I've seen just ride all the way to the top and jump off that cliff because it looks nasty, right? So for us, like, and it's not like wisdom, it's just not being an idiot, I would say, to say like, hey, this isn't going to last forever. This isn't the norm. So let's be smart with it. And that's what we did. The unfortunate timing was like, that was toward the end of it was when my partners who I had brought into the business, they thought, well, I want more, because you know how it was at that time. Everyone thought it was easy. Everyone was killing it. So for them, it was just this easy thing to go say, well, let's go start our own. And I don't think it went nearly as well as they had hoped, because 6 months later, rates went from 2.75 to 5, and then another 6 months, they're 8%, right? And it's tough. But it goes back to, I think, just doing the next right thing, right? And that has been honestly a big blessing for us in much more roundabout, indirect ways. One of it being like my employees, for a few years, it's easy to look at it. And in our industry, it's easy to know how much the guy at the top is making. It's not that hard. It's basic math. Yeah. And so for a few years, it's like, oh, it must be nice to be Dillan, right? And then when things shifted, I sat down with all my employees and I was like, hey, look, things are going to get tough. All the businesses that are adjacent to us and your your friends within the industry, you're going to watch, and it's going to get bad, and they're going to get furloughed, and they're going to get consolidated into another business, and they're all going to be finding new jobs. I promise I will keep everyone on as long as it's possible. So full disclosure, for like over a year, my receptionist was making more money than I did. And that to me was okay, because it's like, hey, we killed it for a long time, right? We're fine. And now coming out the other side of it, it's been this blessing of nobody has this mindset of like, oh, it must be nice to be Dillan anymore. It's now like, are you making good money again? Like, how cool. I'm so grateful. Thanks for keeping me around. I hope you make $1 billion over the next couple of years, because thank you for not letting this disrupt my life in the way that I know all these other people had that happen. And not to say that like that's fun, right? I don't want to run a business that's just like not killing it all the time, but we live in an industry that's going to be pretty big cycles like that. And it's easy to say when you're killing it, like, yeah, just do the right thing and be generous and be kind to people. I will say though, the last couple of years, anytime I saw the ground coming and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if we can keep doing the right thing for another couple months. The loaves and the fishes, like I'm a big believer in that now, where every time it was like I'd put my hand in and there's not extra, but there's always was just enough, or some big deal would just fall in our lap. We would do a jumbo loan and I'm like, cool, that just paid everyone for the next couple of months. That has happened more times than I could tell you in the last few years. And it legitimately, I will never say otherwise. It's just try and do the next right thing and it'll work out. And I know that not everyone has that same story to tell, but for me, it's been 100% true every time.
So with that being said, like from my perspective, I've been in real estate for 7-8 years now, but I was never like, I'm a newer agent. Like I started 3 years ago, probably right when rates were like,
you missed the end of the good time.
Yeah, exactly. I never got the wave, right? And so all I knew was the slow kind of wishy-washy market, which is a blessing for me because
you had to learn how to do it the right way.
Exactly.
Earn every deal.
Yeah. And it's worked out really well for me. And I'd say like the last 4 or 5 months, what we talked about before the podcast has been maybe my mindset, and like business is fine. Like I'm not, deals are coming, but like the vibe out there is hitting me more than ever now. Like inventory is going up rapidly, and it just feels a lot slower. I'd say like the last 3 to 4 months. I don't know what Summit looks like. Hopefully this is just my vision or my story of what I'm seeing. But like, what are your thoughts on the next?
I think the down thing is, or bad thing is, like, I've been saying this for over a year now. I think we're at like the very end of the hard part of the cycle. And similarly to you, right? Like I'd say we bottomed out a year and a half ago as far as like the slowest possible times at Summit. So we've been fine ever since, and we've had good months and average months in between. But I swear there has to be another big upcycle. And I love people that have made it through. It proves that like they know what they're doing. They're somewhat ethical. Otherwise they couldn't have made it through. And it cut out a bunch of the hacks that jumped in when it was easy. So I'm grateful for that. I will say, I think the squeeze has been long enough for my comfortability, right? And there's so many factors going into, there has to just be another good bull run. And I can't imagine it's more than 6 months down the road. Also, summer's usually slower. We haven't felt it as much because like we get to play both sides of it. People are refinancing, things like that. But I think you'll see through the end of the year and then like into next year, I think it'll get really busy again. I think smart money is buying houses right now because they're coming down, right? You got to remember, everyone's like, oh, rates still suck. They were at 8%. Now they're in the mid to low 6s. Like that's a substantial difference.
Yeah.
You see it drop another 0.5%, 1%. You're going to see this flood of people into the market. Perfect example. I've said for a long time, once rates start with a 5, like psychologically, it'll change everything. last summer, so end of summer 2024.
There was like one day, right?
599 for 10 days.
Yeah. It's the most mortgage applications in the last ever, right?
In a long time.
Since like COVID.
We closed more loans that we locked within that 10-day period and then closed through the end of the year. So Q4 of 2024, we closed as many loans as we did the first 3 quarters of the year, which proves what I'm saying is going to be accurate. And if people are buyers who have gotten bad advice saying like, oh, wait till rates go down. Wait till rates go down so that you can pay more for a house in a more competitive market without seller concessions. And you better have money ready to go because it's going to turn into COVID all over again where people are paying over appraised value. Or buy a house now, get $10,000 in concessions and refinance 6 to 18 months from now when rates drop. Like that's what smart people are doing. So we're seeing a lot of people that are coming around doing that. And I think the next few months you're going to see quite a bit of it. But I'd be shocked if spring of next year, it's not pretty dang good again.
Really?
Yeah.
So in my, like, to play devil's advocate, I always feel like affordability is like obviously like this demon that will never go away. And I don't think it's ever going to become affordable again. But when I look at like the government and them trying to like calm inflation, and they've done it a lot better of a job at it. But like, what's your thoughts there? Because to me, I feel like our economy is, and this is again, probably just my attitude that needs to change, but I feel like we haven't truly felt the negatives of our spending during COVID in our government.
I don't think so either. Yeah, there's so much stupidity behind that, right? Like, I was one of the only people that I knew in the mortgage world when rates are in the 2s being like, oh my gosh, this is bad.
Yeah.
Let's make a bunch of money, but this is bad. Because I'm no PhD economist, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to be like, let's make an 800-page declaration of how many billions and trillions of dollars we're going to pass out to everyone. And then just, it's all going to be okay. We're going to make up a bunch of monopoly money. Everyone's going to refinance. Then nobody's going to want to move for years because of that recency bias of like, well, I want a 2.75 rate. So yeah, like it was always going to cause issues. I hope that they don't let it get so bad that then they swing the pendulum back to 2 point whatever % to try and fix it. I hope that it ends up where the Fed is always saying they want to be, right? And that like
2%.
Yeah, well, they want like a mortgage rate for the Fed is going to hopefully be in like the 4% range.
I thought you were talking about inflation rate.
Yeah.
The mortgage for sure.
So if we can get to where that's happening, then everything's good and affordability becomes a lot better-ish, right?
Yeah, no,
because that's the hard part is everyone's like, oh, affordability. And we're like, I do real estate development. I work with real estate developers. They are not going to drop prices to just like become affordable.
Yeah.
Because they also can't.
Exactly.
Right? Like
there's no
our company, we build townhomes, we do all that stuff. Like, it's not like we're just making extra money because affordability has gotten worse and prices have gone up over the last few years. Every aspect of it has gone up. So it's not really possible. The solution becomes, if we're going to throw money at the problem, throw money at making it more affordable. Do things like the opportunity zones and stuff like that. Give incentives to people to go develop, build homes that are affordable for people, but also dropping the price $50,000 or dropping rates 2%, they end up being about the same as far as affordability goes.
Exactly.
One is easier to do than the other, right?
And I'll say too, like, obviously I'm an agent. Obviously I buy homes. Like, that's my gig. And I will say that even though I have this sentiment that things should change and might change for spending, however that does happen, I am always going to tell people, and I believe this because I act on it, that like to be opportunistic in every market. Like
right. The best time to buy was yesterday. Always.
Yeah.
Even the last few years when rates went from 3% to 8% in less than a year, the median priced home in Utah along the Wasatch Front still went up.
Yeah.
it appreciated.
Which is insane.
Right? Like that's crazy. So
Absolutely
everyone's
insane.
getting this bad advice of, well, so-and-so bought a house in 2009 on foreclosure. So that's what I'm like, no, if that was going to happen, it would have already happened, first of all. And two, if you've gotten a mortgage in the last 15 years, you know that 2009 isn't happening again.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to draw blood and everyone, what do you want, my firstborn child? Pretty much,
your cousin's social security number.
Exactly. Like everyone is going to be involved. And if you can't afford this house, like committing mortgage fraud is unbelievably difficult.
Yeah, 100%.
So you're not moving into a house that you can't afford. You might buy more house than you should, and you're going to be house poor, but like you're not buying more house than you can technically afford anymore. So
100%.
if the market was going to crash, it would have happened 12 to 24 months ago.
100%. And that's to say at the same time, like my goal is always to buy like at least a property a year for my investment portfolio. It's been a few properties a year the last few years, which is great. And the sentiment has always been, there has always been a sentiment that the market's not the right time. During COVID, home prices
even during COVID,
even
right?
on a 3% interest rate, people are bidding $50,000. Why would you bid $50,000 more
stupid.
on a house? It's stupid. Why would you do that? Buying in every market, if I were to listen to the sentiment in the market from the OGs in my life, I won't name names, but the experience, like I would have
the only advice they have
hundreds.
for you is get a time machine and go buy it.
Exactly.
This phase or this phase or this phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now that window's gone.
Yeah.
So don't buy anything.
Exactly.
It's constant.
And like, think about the net worth that would be just wiped away from both me and you.
Yeah.
Like probably millions for you, but hundreds of thousands, like for me, if I were to sit on my money and wait for the perfect time to buy.
Waiting for the best time, right? Because there is no best time.
Yeah.
The best time is buy when you can afford, when it's a decent deal, and then play the financial game of like refinance it, re-leverage it, buy the next one. Like there's so many more pieces to it than just what does it cost and what's the rate at this moment.
Yeah. And we talk about AI a lot because it's obviously disrupting every industry, and it will. Like, I don't think any industry is like safe from it.
Yeah.
But like even in development, like labor is going to get cheaper.
Yep.
Materials, in my opinion, are going to get cheaper because a robot's going to be chopping down a tree.
It's the modern industrial revolution, right?
Exactly. But like on that same note, if AI truly is going to disrupt every industry, which I believe it will, then I want a tangible asset. Mm-hmm. Like I want something that I can see, feel, that will always have demand. People will always want to buy houses, or everyone's going to need a place to live. I'll correct it to that. So in these crazy times, it feels like there's not a lot of safety where you put your money. And I'm not going to say real estate's 100% protected. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in 2 years, but like in terms of my bets, yeah, like.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at data, right? Like I always tell people, weirdly, I didn't know about this until someone else showed me. The Salt Lake Tribune's website has a whole real estate section. You can look at every zip code all throughout the Wasatch Front and every year for like the last 30 something years and see what the median priced home in that zip code did as far as appreciating or depreciating. And you can find bad years, but honestly, most often if there's a zip code that shows a bad year, it's because 300 townhomes went in Farmington or in Provo that year. So it didn't actually drop prices. It was just like they were more affordable than the median priced home at that time. But if you take any 5 or 10 year window, choose the worst one you can, put 2008 in the middle of it, it still went up by 5 to 9% depending on the zip code. So like that alone tells you, yeah, it's not a guarantee, but
nothing
is pretty
either.
good, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty dang good guarantee, especially if you're making good money. You know how to play the tax game. You know how to play the appreciation game.
Exactly.
You know how to play the leverage game. If you have a good team of experts around you that help you play that navigation through that, it's really tough to beat.
And I rack my brain on a daily basis of why real estate professionals do not buy real estate. Like,
it's wild. It's because they don't get it. They don't understand what they're telling people they should understand.
They are writing tax code for you specifically to incentivize the hell out of, like, you can control how much you pay in taxes as a real estate professional.
Like full disclosure, when we bought, because our kind of investment strategy was we bought a ton of rentals, like single family stuff all over Utah.
Yeah.
For a number of years. And it was honestly just because the first year that we killed it, I sat down with my tax guy and I was like, I'm going to pay how much to the Fed? How do I get around this? And he was like, well, you need to buy this amount of real estate and then we'll depreciate it, right? So that's why we started doing it. It was the tax advantage side, plus knowing, hey, this is a good investment, plus, sure, let's get some passive income.
And what percentage of that did you end up paying to the Fed?
During those years, I never paid more than 5% to the Fed.
Yeah, see,
because I just bought a ton of real estate, right? But yeah, it is wild. People don't understand that.
And you're in the market. Like there should be absolutely zero excuses. Like the amount of door-to-door guys that I talk to, like that would absolutely kill for real estate professional status. And I won't dive into the CPA and some of them working around that, but
yeah, or their wife gets their real estate license or whatever,
property
right?
manager.
Yeah.
But it is like the golden ticket from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory
it's
we
the
have.
Lowest hanging fruit in the entire tax code.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's insane. And especially with the big, beautiful bill passing 100% cost segregation,
now
bonus segregation.
Now we're good to go again, right?
Insane. I mean, even at 40% last year, it was still like that cost seg changed the entire scope of what I was going to owe.
Yeah.
And now it's back to 100%. It's just cake. So I had to throw that last. If you are a real estate professional, it is.
And if what we're talking about sounds foreign, then like reach out to Tanner and he will explain it to you, and it will change your entire financial strategy across the board.
It's insane. Yeah. Dillan's an excellent resource for that too. I mean, the amount of people that you help in that space is.
That's why we do. So like we're part of a group where we do mostly like either luxury new builds or townhome entry level stuff, because I don't know your experience, but the last few years, especially for me, it's like that's what has still moved is first time buyers and rich people. They're still transacting
for sure.
It's that median price, $600,000 to $900,000 stuff that people haven't moved because it's really tough to justify right now. But that's my whole role is we raise capital for these big townhome developments for the most part. And most people are coming in. If someone who has, $5, $10, $20 million is looking to invest in real estate, the first question they ask is, what kind of tax advantages do I get? What does the depreciation look like? How do you guys pass that along? So if people richer than 99% of the people listening to this are asking me that question, it's their first question before what's my return going to be? It's what do you guys do with the depreciation? How do I take some of the tax incentive? There's something to that.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. Like the
100%.
richest people I know, that's the first question they ask.
And then,
it says something about what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right? It's like when you hear people like, oh, Donald Trump doesn't pay taxes. I'm like, you morons, you don't understand. He doesn't pay taxes because he owns a ton of real estate. That's why he owns a lot of real estate. And if he sold it all, he'd have the biggest tax bill of all time. But I love that where people are like, oh, see, he's a cheat. We saw his taxes, put him in prison. I'm like, you idiots. And I bet a bunch of you are real estate agents who don't even know what you're talking about. And this is the industry you live in. And you're saying, oh, what a bad guy. I'm like, every rich dude in the country buys a lot of real estate because they don't want to pay taxes.
100%. Yeah, it's really hard to compete with it. I mean, really, really, really hard. So, we've cruised through our hour already, Dillan. I appreciate having you on here a ton. There's one last question that I like to ask on the podcast. Utah's a unique place. We have the Miami crave for money sense, and then we have the sense of family. I don't know elsewhere in the world, maybe the South or something that craves that. I feel like we are a hybrid where people crave that success in their career, but also crave that relationship with their family. What advice, like just a single sentence, maybe a brief line of advice that you'd give to that group of people?
I mean, honestly, for me, I'd say like make a goal and stick to it, right? Like every day. What is your long-term goal? And then what daily habit goal can you have that keeps your head on straight? For me, like I said, it's as simple as, can I be home to cook dinner with my family? Right? Like that's a good gauge for, have I gone too many days in a row without doing that? I need to fix something.
Yeah.
So for me, that works.
and making sure that your family's involved in that long-term plan versus a lot of people probably just have dollar signs on that piece of paper. So I love it. Well, thanks so much for jumping on, Dillan.
Thanks, Tanner.
I learned a ton, so I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.